In the wild, there are creatures whose mere glance is enough to stop everything around them. And in this muddy river, a giant creature lurks. Its name is Kubwa, a special individual weighing nearly a ton, more than 5 meters long, strong and silent like the water it lives on. But Kubwa is not just any big crocodile. He is the descendant of a strange bloodline, where each individual possesses the ability that nature has painstakingly bestowed upon him. And today, we will enter its territory to discover the untold secret of the ruler under the water. On the scorched plains of the Serengeti, there is no sound of rain, no smell of fresh grass, only dust, wind, and scorching sunlight cracking the ground. That is the signal for the most fierce migration on the planet. Millions of wildebeest begin their fateful journey, a journey of hundreds of kilometers where the weak never reach their destination. From the dry south, they pour north, where the grass is still moist with dew and the water has not dried up. The whole steppe shakes with hoarse bellows, the sound of hoofs stomping on the sand and the tired panting of those who have traveled for many days without rest. But that path is not paved with hope. It is a trap, a game of time and instinct. And in that game, the predator does not always stand on the shore. Beneath that seemingly harmless water, a pair of eyes has been watching them for a long time. Not blinking, unwavering, just waiting for the right moment. Kubwa, the ghost of the Mara River, was ready. After a long journey of dust and thirst, the herd of antelopes stopped on the banks of the Mara River, a murky river, silent as if sleeping. But that was only on the surface. Hidden under the cold mud, Kubwa, the old crocodile, who had lived for more than 60 dry seasons, remained motionless as stone. His huge body melted into the river, leaving only his two dark eyes silently observing. On the shore, the antelopes bowed their heads to drink. They did not know that gaze from below had been waiting for them all year. No sound, not a ripple. Kubwa tightened his muscles, preparing to strike. And then, in the quietest moment, the water broke. The ambush began. Nature is not easily subdued. Kubwa charged forward, thinking everything was within reach. But one of the antelopes reacted with lightning speed, turned around, and kicked with great force. A dry crack sounded underwater. Kubwa retreated silently. A large tooth had broken. The ambush had failed. In its more than 60 years of existence, Kubwa has suffered many blows, many failures, but it has never been defeated. Its skin is nearly 2 centimeters thick, rough like the bark of an old tree. But what is truly formidable lies beneath that skin, is a system of bones covering its back, linked into plates as hard as iron armor, interlocking like the scales of an ancient dragon. This is a natural armor that only individuals who live long and develop to their fullest like Kubwa can have. Thanks to that, kicks, butts, even sharp horns only leave shallow scratches, not enough to penetrate. Kubwa's back is an impregnable wall in this wild world. The old crocodile moves gently under the mud, not flinching. A broken tooth is nothing. He still has more than 60 others, and a second chance is coming. But then, a small group turned back. Maybe because of thirst, maybe because of instinct, but in nature, hesitation always carries risk. Kubwa did not leave. It lay still, not moving, as if nothing had happened. Patience is the silent weapon of the predator. But even a creature like Kubwa has its limits. When it lunges, its eyes are forced to close, withdrawing deep into itself for protection. A moment that cannot be observed, but does not mean disadvantage. Kubwa senses by the water, by the slightest movement on the shore. It does not need to see. It only needs the right moment. And that moment has come. Kubwa burst out of the water. A decisive lunge, too fast to react. The jaws snapped shut. The prey was held. Just 4 teeth big enough, strong enough to hold the antelope down, unable to escape. No struggle, no second chances. In less than a minute, the hunt was over. Kubwa does not keep the prey for himself. It lies there, quietly, but does not prevent other crocodiles from approaching the meat. In the underwater world, power lies not in monopoly, but in coordinated speed. A series of twists begins. The crocodile's body bends like a spring, then rotates violently under the water. It is the death spiral. That is the characteristic movement of the species to tear apart the prey, body part by part. There is no rope, no fighting, just precise, cold, and efficient movements. The sharing of prey does not come from altruism, but from a pragmatic instinct. Eat together, digest together, reduce waiting time together. In a world where danger always lurks, the faster you leave the hunting ground, the higher the chance of survival. After months of hiding in the cold mud, today it has the reward any crocodile craves. A full, meaty, energy-packed meal. But nature never gives for free. The mass of meat it has swallowed is nearly 1/5 of its entire body weight, a heavy burden. Being cold-blooded, Kubwa needs weeks to digest this amount of food. All activity almost stops. The body switches to slow, silent mode, waiting for digestive enzymes to work. And that is when the risks begin. If the temperature is unstable, or the meat begins to decompose from the inside, Kubwa can be poisoned by its own feast. A bone that has not been digested in time can cause a serious blockage. Victory has been achieved, but the price is not over yet. Kubwa was full. But for cold-blooded creatures, fullness does not mean safety. If not digested in time, food can cause harm in the body. But crocodiles have a special mechanism. When CO2 accumulates after a meal, it is not excreted, but is directed straight to the stomach. Thanks to the unique structure of the heart, Kubwa's blood bypasses the lungs, focusing all its strength on the stomach. CO2 triggers the stomach to secrete extremely strong hydrochloric acid, 10 times stronger than other animals. Bones are also dissolved. Kubwa leaves almost no leftovers. In the dense and humid West African jungle, where light hardly penetrates the foliage, there appears a distant relative of the Kubwa that is smaller, lighter, but not weak. Its name is Juru, pig-shaped crocodile. Weighing only about 9 kilograms, but hidden behind its seemingly harmless appearance is a true survival warrior. Juru does not ambush underwater like most crocodiles. It walks silently and actively hunts on land. Every step is a risk, but it is also the only way to survive in the jungle. Its prey is usually young birds, small reptiles, and vulnerable animals, but the most frightening thing is the speed of its attacks with surprising accuracy. However, with its small body, Juru also stands on the border between predator and prey. Just one failure, it can become a meal for a large snake, a bird of prey, or even its own kind. It was not as strong as Kubwa, but it had something the giant did not. The ability to survive in confined spaces, in pitch darkness, and in the thin line between survival and extinction. Hidden deep in the jungles of West Africa is a world that has never seen light. Kilometers of underground bat caves, where temperatures are kept at a constant 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21.7 degrees Celsius. For cold-blooded creatures like the Juru, these conditions are ideal for living day and night without ever leaving the darkness. But in a world without the sun, light is non-existent, and vision is no longer a reliable tool. The Juru cannot see as we understand it. Its eyes are covered with thousands of photoreceptors, a biological system that acts like night vision goggles, sensitive to the faintest light. But inside the cave, not even moonlight penetrates. Juru's true weapon is its hearing and its ability to read sounds that most other creatures ignore. When bats scramble and fall to the rocky ground, they make tiny, intermittent, low-frequency, barely distinguishable noises. But Juru hears. It not only hears, but it determines position, distance, and movement, reconstructing the entire space in sound. It does not need to look. It does not need to move much. It only needs to wait for the right moment and strike precisely. In a world without light, Juru is a hunter without eyes, a silent warrior in absolute darkness. In the muddy rivers of northern Australia, where visibility is virtually zero, Indeco, a skin-eating crocodile, survives. Its face is covered with hundreds of ultra-sensitive sensor dots that can detect the slightest pressure changes in the water. Just a slight eddy from a fish swimming by, even 3 meters away, is enough to activate the entire system. Every October, in a quiet muddy river in northern Australia, a special gathering takes place. Not to fight for territory, nor to breed, but to hunt. When the tide rises, thousands of young sharks follow the water to the shallows to find temporary shelter. And that is the signal for dozens of Indeco crocodiles to attract predators who have been waiting all year for this moment. Indeco, a small female only 1/4 the size of the giant males, still recklessly rushes into the dangerous feast. For her, this is a golden opportunity to eat enough food for the whole month. But the price is not cheap. The thick, murky water, the narrow space, the crowded predators all create an underground battlefield without light. A missed turn, a mistimed collision can injure her, even kill her right in the middle of the stream. Only those who can read the water, sense the direction of the water through their skin and the pressure, are calm enough to strike accurately. In that blind chaos, those who feel better, they survive. Indeco was hungry and almost resigned to defeat. It had been diving for hours in the murky water, swimming through the shallows, waiting silently. But nothing happened. There was prey, but it was either too small or it had disappeared before it could react. However, Indeco did not retreat. Not that easy. Instead of continuing to rush into the chaos, it changed its strategy. Indeco activated its entire pressure sensor system of more than 9,000 points spread throughout its body, especially concentrated in its snout and forelimbs. It stretched its 2 limbs forward, gently scanning the water like a pair of biological antennas, expanding its range of contact and perception. Every tiny movement in the water, whether it was a slight swirl of a fish or a pressure wave from a moving school, was transmitted to the brain immediately. And then, a strong signal appeared in the distance. A series of whirlpools spread out, moving in the characteristic fan shape of an approaching school of large fish. Indeco was completely still, its body tensed, pressed against the mud. It didn't see, it just felt. The moment came. It sprang out of the water, catching the leader fish in its jaws in a split second. Then came the classic spin, and the feast began. After hours of hunger and waiting, Indeco was finally full. In the tangled, humid jungles of Mexico, Zama the crocodile must not only hunt for prey, but also constantly face threats beyond his ability. As a small crocodile, Zama is forced to live with extreme caution. Every puddle could harbor a predator, and every noise could signal approaching danger. Zama was running out of energy. His belly was flat, His legs were tired after days of not being able to hunt properly. In the dry and dangerous Mexican jungle, a small crocodile like Zama had to choose his steps carefully because one wrong step could cost him his life. As the sun rose high, the ground temperature exceeded 40 degrees Celsius. Zama was forced to leave the small drying puddle. He turned his head toward a distant memory, a deep lake that had been a hunting paradise, where the warm mud bottom had helped him hide and ambush successfully. But that paradise was more than 8 kilometers away, and every meter he moved was a battle. The path was muddy, the forest canopy was dense. Jaguar tracks were still fresh in the sand, and soldier ants were ready to bite through his skin. But Zama kept going, not because he was brave, but because he had no way back. Little did he know, that lake was no longer the same. What awaits it there is not prey, but a occupier. But when Zama arrived, the old paradise was now occupied, not by any giant predator, but by a small group of crocodiles, aggressive and hungry, fearless children. There were dozens of them, gathered around the edge of the lake, growling, pouncing on small schools of fish and missing them, making a lot of noise, but catching almost nothing. Every time there was a movement in the water, they rushed in first, ruining any chance of an ambush. For Zama, this was a disaster. He lived on silence and precision, but now the whole lake was filled with splashing, hissing, pretending to fight. The prey was alert, hiding deep in the mud or retreating from the hunting ground. Zama hid for hours, hungry and impatient. But he was in no hurry. By noon, under the scorching sun, the young crocodiles were starting to tire. One by one, they fell asleep on the bank, mouths still open, legs curled up. They let their guard down and left the lake calm for the first time in hours of chaos. Zama knew his moment had come. When the scorching midday sun made the whole forest hold its breath, a spotted shadow quietly approached the edge of the lake. The 90-kilogram predator jaguar saw a golden opportunity. The sleeping crocodile. But this prey was not easy. The crocodile was half full. One side of its brain was still awake. Its eyes were half open, watching every branch and leaf. Just one wrong step, and the jaguar would be the hunted. Not only possessing the ability to half-brain sleep, to keep one side of the brain awake, eyes half open to watch the jungle, crocodiles are also masters of underwater breathing. While seals can only hold their breath for 3 minutes, crocodiles can hide underwater for up to 2 hours without having to surface. The secret lies in the biological oxygen tank inside the body, an air sac near the heart that provides a fresh one-way flow of air in the lungs. Thanks to that, oxygen is maximized, not wasted. In a motionless state, crocodiles can sleep, monitor, and breathe silently, like an invisible diver waiting for prey to come close. The air sac near the crocodile's heart inflates like a balloon filled with air, continuously pumping fresh air into the lungs. The air in the lungs is not only inhaled and exhaled in a cycle like in humans, but also moves in only one direction, allowing maximum oxygen exposure to the pleura. This one-way air circulation mechanism allows crocodiles to make full use of the oxygen in each breath, allowing them to hold their breath and breathe silently underwater for hours without having to come up for air. It waited, patient as a shadow, but this time, the shadow had no part. Beneath the still water, the crocodile had not yet surfaced. Time passed, the silence as thick as a fog, enveloping the forest. The jaguar growled softly. Its cold eyes now held disappointment. It knew this perfect stalking would not work. When the jaguar retreated into the forest, Zama immediately took action. The baby crocodiles around the lake were still lazy after their afternoon nap, no longer alert. They had caused chaos in the area, scaring their prey to the point that no one could catch anything. But Zama was different. He waited for the right moment, choosing the right prey in the murky water. A quick lunge, a precise bite, quick, decisive. No need to fight, no need to show off. Zama just quietly reaffirmed his sovereignty. Sorry kids, this place is mine. It didn't need to be big, just needed the right timing. And this time, Zama was the winner. And so Zama has regained his familiar hunting grounds, not with strength, but with patience and cold, terrifying instinct. But the journey of survival is not over yet. Greater dangers await upstream, where the river is no longer gentle. How do you think Zama will face it? If you want to continue following this breathtaking journey of survival, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming part 3. The real battle has only just begun.